I tried to come up with a Android's Dream of Electric Sheep clever opener. I'm just drawing a blank. Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams. This was something that I had a pretty high level of interest in as soon as I heard about it, and it's now available on Amazon. I think it was available on Amazon places other than the U.S. prior to this, maybe not even Amazon, maybe on other services, but it is now available in the U.S. on Amazon, and I've checked out what Amazon is telling me is the first episode, although if I look at IMDb or Wikipedia, it's more like the 6th or 8th episode. It's apparently Amazon has reordered them. It's an anthology show, so I don't think it actually matters. But the one that I have seen is called Real Life. So I'm going to talk about this. While it's kind of impossible to stay 100% spoiler-free, I'm going to try really hard not to try and ruin anything that happens later, because unlike my Black Mirror reviews where I think I'm coming late to that party and a lot of people have already seen this stuff, this is brand new stuff, so I don't want to get into spoilers so much. And besides, at least in terms of this first one, I think I can talk about, what the setup is in the broad strokes and not have to get into spoilers to sort of give my thoughts on it. So Real Life is, it's a take on virtual reality. And so you've got these sort of two parallel tracks. You start out with Anna Paquin in a, let's say, less gritty Blade Runner-esque future. And she is a cop who is basically suffering from survivor's guilt. There was a sort of massacre of a whole bunch of cops that she survived, and she and her partner are still trying to find the guy who did it, but she's not dealing with the stress of what she went through very well. And her wife, because she is a lesbian, is a developer of virtual reality and software and things like that, and has her try out something that they're about to roll out, which is not dissimilar from the ideas from Total Recall, which is it'll basically like take a vacation from yourself, go into this virtual reality world, experience not only new places and new settings, but a whole new life that is actually sort of built around your subconscious, and the program sort of tries to interpret what it thinks you want. And so when she starts using this, she finds herself as Terrence Howard in basically modern times as we know them, and he is a billionaire software developer whose wife was murdered, and he's kind of going on a bit of a vigilante hunt after the guy who killed her. But where things start to get wobbly is in that world as well. Because he's a software developer, he has developed a headset that starts a virtual reality thing. And so in that world, he's escaping the pain of losing his wife by going to the world where he is a cop in the slightly couple decades ahead future. But in that one, she is turning to this other world to escape from the pain and the stress of her survivor's guilt. So the very natural question, which is exactly what you would expect this to tackle, is which one's actually real? And there's good and bad points about this. And one of the bad points is kind of unavoidable, which is that Philip K. Dick's writings, his works, his concepts have been mined by so many things for so long. Not only the direct adaptations of his work like Blade Runner, like Total Recall, like A Scanner Darkly, but his ideas and his concepts have just permeated science fiction, and they are everywhere. And unfortunately that means when you go back to his material and you start going, oh, here's a Philip K. Dick concept, let's do something out of it, it's not gonna feel especially fresh conceptually, and not because they weren't original ideas when he thought of them, they were, but like I said, all this stuff has been riffed on and remixed by so many different people, filmmakers, authors, comic book writers, what have you, in the years since he passed away. So it's not as original as you might hope. I was gonna say, depending on what you expect, I don't know what you come into this expecting. I mean, I like Philip K. Dick stuff, but I guess when you read his work, it feels slightly fresher, I think, because a lot of us have seen it adapted mostly to film, and it's largely a visual aesthetic. And when you actually try and read his writing, that is kind of its own experience. But seeing it translated into a visual medium like this, again, it doesn't feel quite as fresh. But for the very core premise of the anthology show, I'm not really sure there was a way around that. The other big weakness is some of the writing. Now, I'm not even going to say most of the writing. The writing, when it's good, and when it's not good, it's bad. And what I mean is, especially at the front end of this thing, the exposition explaining, where characters are, the necessary bullet points of their backstory, and how the technology that's being used functions is delivered really clunky. There are a handful of exposition dumps, either character history or technical exposition dumps throughout the episode, and they never feel natural. It's one of those things that it makes me really appreciate that element of Black Mirror, that when they talk about the technology, they are able to frame it in situations, or maybe just write dialogue, or get actors who are able to deliver it and not make it sound like dialogue, or they're able to mask it in a sales pitch, somebody trying to talk somebody into buying this technology, or things like that. And this doesn't do that quite as well. So the exposition is really clunky. And as I said, the whole fact that it's going to start messing, which is the real world, what's it going to turn out to be, is not an unexpected direction for it to go. That being said, it does actually start to grab you as it goes along. And especially towards the end, I think a lot of that I would have to chalk up to the performances, that they sort of engage with you on a level that is actually a bit more than the writing itself is inherently going to engage you. And if I were to highlight an MVP, it would probably be Terrence Howard. Although Anna Paquin has some good moments as well, but the moments that I started getting absorbed into this story was largely due to Terrence Howard's performance, and how well he was able to convey some very complex emotional beats of someone experiencing pain and then starting to doubt whether that pain is even real. And it is all very interesting and layered, and really well delivered. And the way it ends, the specifics of it, some people may see it coming, some people may not see it coming. For me, again, maybe just because I know too much sci-fi, I kind of saw it coming, but it's still well delivered for what it is. So this wasn't exceptionally strong, but it was decent. So I don't know if I'm going to stick with this thing for the whole season. I mean, there's 10 episodes in this, so it's a bigger commitment than, coming in to do 6 episodes of Black Mirror was. Starting with that 4th season of that show. So I'm not going to make a promise that I'm going to do all 10. I'm going to do at least one more of this, because I want to try and get a sense if what I just watched is one of the better ones, if it is just a good example of what I can expect. If it is, I'll probably get through the first season. Or is it, does it get better, or is this as good as it gets, and all the other ones can't even measure up to this? If that's the case, I may not have more than 1 or 2 more in me, but we'll kind of see. So far, I'm looking at that and going, you've got potential. It's going to come down to execution, and some of the execution of this one was a bit clunky. But those are my thoughts on Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams Real Life. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Do all that stuff, like and subscribe, and find me on Twitter. Send me an email if you want to. Support me on Patreon if you're feeling generous. All links for all that stuff is down below. And until next time, this council is adjourned.